Welcome to the ultimate fidget spinner build. The items you will need to do this build are a bicycle jockey wheel, 11 tooth, a bicycle chain, 2 large diameter O-rings, alcohol, a chain tool, hammer, box cutter, pliers, and a file. So your first step is going to be to remove the bearing dust covers from the outer sides of the bearings. You'll do this by sliding in a box cutter or a knife or screwdriver beside the inside bearing race and gently prying upward. You're going to do this to both sides of the bearing. Once you've removed the dust covers, you'll already know that it spins better. The next thing you're going to do is wash the grease out from inside the bearing. So place the bearing and jockey wheel in a container and submerge it in alcohol. Then use a screwdriver or a pick to spin the bearing under the alcohol. And as you can see, it is already spinning nice and freely. For the longest spin time, you'll want to make sure that all of the grease is out of the bearing. So take your time at this and continue to rinse. The longer that you rinse, the better results you're going to get. Now, there you can see that I used some air just to spin it up to a high RPM. So next thing you're going to do is count out 22 links in the chain, and then you're going to use a chain break tool to push the pin out of the 22nd link. If you do not have a chain break tool, you could do this with a hammer and a punch. It's not as easy as using a chain break tool. When using the chain break tool, push the pin out as far as it needs to go to free the link, but try to leave the pin held in the outside leaf. If you're able to do that, it makes reassembling the chain much easier. So now you'll carefully align the pin up with the link on the other end of the chain, and you'll tap the pin in using a hammer. And then you'll just verify that the pin is in all the way. If it's not, just give it another couple taps. Then you'll want to clean the chain in alcohol, because most chains come pre-lubed, so they're sticky and greasy, and you'll continue. Now you'll arrange the chain around the jockey wheel in a zigzag pattern, and every other link will go into one of the cogs in the jockey wheel. Then you'll take the large O-ring and stretch it around the chain, working one link at a time, and being careful that the chain does not slip off, and eventually you will have worked the O-ring completely all the way around the chain. Then you'll do the same thing with the second large O-ring. Now we need to make a couple modifications to the caps that go on the outside. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to use a file to take some material off the outer edge of the caps, because the way the caps are made, they actually will hit the outside of the jockey wheel, and we're not going to want that because it causes too much friction and it will affect the spin time. So you're going to make sure that you chamfer it very well around the edge, and then you'll try it in the spinner to make sure they're not dragging. The next step is to squeeze the boss on those caps with some pliers. You're going to do this to raise up some material so when you press the caps into the bearing, they stay there and don't fall out. So you'll want to test fit it to make sure it fits nice and snug and stays put. So once you've made the grooves, you can press it in the bearing, and then again you'll want to try to spin it to make sure it spins freely and it doesn't touch the jockey wheel. If it does, you may need to take the cap back off and do some more filing. So do this to both caps and press them in, and if it's not dragging, it'll still spin nicely. And here you can see it spinning very nice. So our last step is going to be to pry one link out of a cog at a time and apply some super glue. Then you slide the link back into place in the cog and move to the next one. you work your way all the way around the jockey wheel so you've glued all of the links in place. So once the glue is dried, your spinner is done. So now all you have to do is spin and enjoy. This spinner has a great feel to it. It's nice and heavy. The chain gives it some nice weight, and the rubber O-rings are on the outside, makes it very easy to spin and very easy on your fingers. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and